people rent these cabins out, and there's stuff in there. I'm just walking in. Hey Trippers, this is Trippin Traci. Today's trip brings us to Tannehill Ironworks Historical State Park. It's an awesome park. Trip with me. Good morning. I am getting ready to film at an awesome campground, and I cannot wait to share the footage with you. Tannehill Historical State Park has more than 1,500 acres in 3 counties set aside for hiking, camping, and outdoor recreation. And attractions at Tannehill include the miniature railway, craft cabins, the Iron and Steel Museum, fishing at the creek, creamery, and hiking trails. Tannehill Historical State Park offers 195 improved campsites divided into 3 areas with water and electricity, supported by 2 bathhouses and several dump stations. I'm going to love staying at this park and touring around. The campground can handle trailers both large and small. There is also a separate area for 100 primitive tent camping sites. Campsites during special events such as trade days and Halloween festival are popular and sometimes sell out on a first-come basis. The park has 7 rental cabins. 6 are rustic log cabins from the 1800s that have been moved into the park and restored. All the cabins have a furnished kitchen, living room with a fireplace, bathroom, heat and air conditioning. Camping is first come, first served. Reservations are not accepted. Look at this beautiful campsite. It's gorgeous. A fun attraction for the kids, from toddlers to great-grandparents, is a miniature railway that runs from the main camping area to the trade day area over a mile-long track. Added in 1997, it replaced an even earlier train ride which had first opened in 1975. The new train features an 1800s-style engine and riding cars. Price per trip is $1 and the cost for a round trip is $2. All aboard! This iron truss bridge, named Tapawingo Bridge, was used by thousands of Birmingham area residents in the early 1900s while visiting Tapawingo Springs. This is such a cool place. If y'all come to Alabama, you definitely have to experience this park. Someone's having an event over here. I think you can rent areas around the park. The Gristmill Trail, a historic roadway, originally connecting to Eastern Valley Road, was a much-traveled access route to the John Wesley Hall gristmill beginning in 1867. During the Civil War, this route was used by the 8th Iowa Cavalry to attack Tannehill Ironworks. The John Wesley Hall gristmill and cotton gin, operated on this site from 1867 to 1931, was successor to one of Alabama's earliest gristmills located a mile west on Mud Creek. Burned during the Civil War, Hall's mill was moved to this location to begin a new life during Reconstruction. Creekside fishing is an important attraction at Tannehill, where its two main creeks are stocked each year with rainbow trout. Native fish, including brim, are also in abundance. This is a working gristmill that grinds out cornmeal sold in the country store. All right, let's go take a look inside here. I believe the gristmill isn't in operation right now because it's off-season. Once upon a time across America, the land was dotted with gristmills. These water-powered mills were situated next to a swift river where the current from that river turned the water wheel, which turned the heavy stones, which ground the corn into cornmeal or the wheat into flour for baking and cooking. This little trail up here to the waterfall is pretty easy. All park trails provide an easy walk, most over wide dirt roads, some of which were originally used as early interstates traveling between towns and regions. I've been looking for fish and I don't see any, but there may be some in here. You look very closely at this branch. There's a branch over here with a bobber. I'm gonna head back to the van and look at the map to see where we're gonna go next. That food smells really good. They have these old cabins all around the park. I'm not sure how many we'll go see, but let's take a look at this one. This is the Williams house, circa 1889. James Monroe, Jim Williams, married Martha Eveline George. Mr. Williams was a farmer and a coal miner at Gray Hill in Bibb County, Alabama. They raised 10 children, wow, of which 7 were born in this house. Oh, they have coal over there. Oh, they have a barbecue out here. Maybe you can rent out this space too. You can get in these. Oh, we can get in these. Oh. People rent these cabins out and there's stuff in there. I'm just walking in. I do all this for you, YouTubers. Hello, Traci. Hello, Trippin, Traci. Here's where the railroad ends and turns around and goes back to the station. I'm so disappointed that that train is not in operation. I wanted to ride that miniature train. I'll just have to come back. This is the event center over here. Campgrounds are over that way to the right. They have a creamery here, and we're supposed to be able to enjoy a scoop of Bluebell ice cream. Yep, locked. I want some ice cream. 30 flavors of hand-dipped Bluebell ice cream, shakes, floats, sundaes, and banana splits are available at the creamery. It's open every weekend, March through November. Times may vary. I just spoke with a lady who comes here often, and she said this was a restaurant for years. People can rent it out now for weddings and things like that. Now we're going to go tour the Alabama Iron and Steel Museum. In the decades after the Civil War, Alabama became one of the nation's leading iron and steel producers.
Everybody that grew up here or even moved here would like to know just exactly what how this whole thing here in Birmingham formed. It was formed through Red Mountain, the ore mines, and the ore that they produced to make steel. At one time, Birmingham, the major employer for this part of the country, was steel making. And to have steel, you got to have iron ore.
Sometimes called a slag ladle or a cinder pot, this relic from U.S. Steel's Inslee Works was used as part of an 8-car train to move slag from the furnaces to the slag dump. The pot was manufactured at U.S. Steel's Johnstown's Works and the track by Inslee Works. The train included 6 slag pots, a compressor car, a riding car, and an engine, and a 2-man crew. Crushed slag is used as a road aggregate, ballast for railroad tracks, and in cinder blocks. The large 54-inch inside diameter pipe was unearthed in 2001 behind the Woodward Golf Course by Bob Hall and the Jefferson County Environmental Services. It was used by the Bessemer sewer system. The pipe marked DL and Company 1889 for Dennis Long and Company was unearthed in Cahaba Heights. Dennis Long was a native of Londonderry, Ireland, who began the manufacture of cast iron pipe prior to the Civil War in Louisville, Kentucky. Long won and lost several fortunes in his business career while also investing in railroads and steamboats. In 1899, his factory was sold to U.S. Pipe and operated until 1913. I enjoyed this museum, but I especially enjoyed exploring and taking photos of all the old machinery in back. This tractor furnished power for an old sawmill near Cordova, Alabama for almost 3 decades. 3 different owners to 1955. This is an old iron safe. 1880. This locker was donated by an old locomotive shop. This is a 1905 kerosene engine, the power source for the Reed and Cafe gristmill in Bibb County until it was moved to Vance in 1930s as the Kellum and Martin Mill. Closed in 1952, the original grist machinery now operates the John Wesley Hall Mill. You can hear trains in the distance at night and during the day. It didn't bother me though. The May Plantation Cotton Gin House, dating back to 1858, is a fascinating display building which has heavy industrial steel mill artifacts from the 1930s and 1950s in Birmingham. Nope, it's locked. There's a creek that runs through the middle of the park. Birmingham's iron and steel industry was built on the huge vein of iron ore hematite found in Red Mountain. Thought unfit for older forges, the red ore provided its worth during the Civil War when used for furnaces at Oxmoor and Irondale. Early experimentation with red ore encouraged the construction of new furnaces in Jefferson County. At the end of World War II, Alabama ranked 3rd in the nation in the production of iron ore, much of it coming from Red Mountain. Huge deposits of brown ore, limonite, to the west and south of Birmingham augmented production.
Knowing the history will be a great advantage for not only my children, but the children all in this vicinity will be proud of.
Unique geological conditions provided the district with closely associated and abundant deposits of iron ore, coal, limestone, and dolomite. These were the raw materials essential for making iron and steel, and at some locations within the districts, deposits were only a few miles apart. This lucky geological arrangement resulted in the lowest raw material assembly cost in the United States and allowed the district to grow as rapidly in the last 2 decades of the 19th century as Pittsburgh and Chicago. Most of the Woodward Iron Company holdings, for example, were linked by a remarkably short 12-mile railroad. The company-owned track extended outward from its blast furnaces and coke ovens to its limestone and dolomite quarries, to its ore mines on Red Mountain, and its coal mines along the edge of the Warrior Coalfield. They have question and answers in here where you get to guess what they are. Let's guess what number 3 is. What is number 3? I'm gonna say it's some kind of an oil lamp. Early fire extinguisher grenades. Tannehill furnaces began as a small forge in 1830. During the war between the states, 1861 to 1865, these furnaces were a major supplier of iron and munitions for the Confederacy. When partially destroyed by Union troops on March 31, 1865, they were producing more than 20 tons of pig iron daily for the arsenal at Selma. Like the wheels and gears of a huge machine, the industrial center at Tannehill kept up a fierce momentum. Trees on the hillsides were felled to be made into charcoal that fed the huge blast furnaces. Roop's Creek and a mighty steam engine powered the blowing machines to heat the fires that melted ore to be formed into the pigs of iron, which in turn formed the tools of war for the Confederacy. At the height of production, Tannehill could turn out 22 tons of iron a day. The iron was cast into ordnance, skillets, pots, and ovens for the Southern Army. Between 1859 and 1863, slaves cut sandstone rocks, transported them by skids, and stacked them to form 3 tall furnaces. Tannehill, for one, was built by the noted Southern iron master Moses Stroop, who later built the Oxmoor furnace, the first in Jefferson County. William L. Sanders purchased the operation in 1862 and set about expanding the ironworks. Daniel Hillman, a Pennsylvania furnaceman, first built a bloomery forge on the banks of Roop's Creek in 1830, where he had found the richest deposits of brown ore in his experience. He wrote his son, "I believe, George, that my prospects for making a handsome property are better than they ever were." Hillman died 2 years later, the family's fortune unmade. This is a typical machine shop of the mid-1800s. Most ironworks of the period would have had similar equipment to shape and manufacture machinery, tools, and weapons. These belt-driven machines were powered by steam engines. Tannehill Ironworks, from large forges to blast furnaces, played an important part in the growth of the Alabama iron industry. No other place in the state made iron for as long as these works until their destruction during the Civil War. Bringing the past to the present, industrial archaeology involves the study and preservation of historically significant industrial sites, artifacts, and technology. Tannehill Ironworks has been the subject of 6 exploratory site studies. On March 31, 1865, it ended in fire and destruction. 3 companies of the 8th Iowa Cavalry swept through the area as a part of Union General James H. Wilson's raid on Alabama war industry sites. At day's end, the furnaces were no longer operational, and the foundry, tannery, gristmill, and tax-in-kind warehouse were in ruins. This exhibit features a 19th century boiler of the type used to power early ironworks, cotton gins, and sawmills. Boilers provided the steam needed to turn machinery and sustain blowing engines. Over time, the district matured into a major regional iron and steel producer. The availability of cheap foundry iron attracted large cast iron pipe producers such as Stockham Pipe and Fittings Company and American Cast Iron Pipe Company. By the early 20th century, all of the nation's large cast iron producers had moved substantial portions of their operations to the Birmingham district. Other industries seeking cheap foundry iron followed, along with a diversified mix of related industries. Steel production increased along with the rise of merchant foundry iron plants. By the 1920s, Birmingham produced 1/4 of the nation's foundry iron and had grown into the largest steel maker in the Southeast. In the latter half of the 20th century, Birmingham's iron and steel industry began a decline that continues today. Increasingly stringent air quality requirements, foreign competition, and the rise of ductile iron made from scrap forced the shutdown of foundry iron furnaces and their coal and ore mines in the early 1970s. But Birmingham remains an important steel producer. Have a vending machine.
Oh, I just want to make sure it was open. Yeah.
No mash.
Wow, that's neat. All right, thank you so much. My souvenir. I enjoyed walking through that museum. I really enjoyed taking photos of all the machinery, the old machinery with the bright colors. I love that. This is a plank road. Prior to the advent of railroads, plank or log roads were popular throughout the eastern United States. Their use in Alabama was formally approved by the legislature about 1840, giving much stimulation to travel. These roads were toll roads with fees collected as a carriage or stage passed through the gates. No entry. I am definitely going to come back here in the spring. That's when everything is open. The train is running. Damn train. Steeped in history, Tannehill Historical State Park feels timeless. The cotton gin, pioneer farm, and working gristmill preserve a long-gone way of life. On weekends in March through November and special events, the craft cabins located along the plank road in the park center come to life, with artisans producing pottery, quilts, cane chairs, and artwork. The cabins to which visitors are invited include the Duncan House, 1871, Wendell Stewart House, 1877, Stamps Cabin, 1870, and Crocker House, 1884, and the Gott House, built by noted Appalachian Mountain cabin builder Peter Gott as part of the Alabama reunion in 1989. They have a game of cornhole over here. All around this park you find historic information and antiques. They have an old country store here. I'm gonna have to go take a look and see what they have. All right, we're gonna walk back to Casper and then head back to the campground and find a campsite for the night. Tomorrow, I'll look at the map and see if there's anything we missed and film that. I found a sticker. Hey, everybody. It is a chilly morning. I'm thinking about changing my plans. Watching people look at my camper. It is a chilly morning in... Where am I? Arkansas? Alabama? Alaska? Alabama. Very chilly. I'm reconsidering my plans for the day. I was going to take a hike up to another area of the park, but it's so cold this morning and I am going crazy without any internet or cell coverage. I really want to upload some videos. I've been trying to upload one video for the past 2 days and it's going to be way late and seem really awkward. So my plan now is to drive to the nearest Starbucks or a Walmart and try and get at least that one video up so people know what's going on. And then I'll post this one. I don't know. I have several in the works. I don't know how I'm going to do the order. The only problem is no shower and no hookup for the night. But I've been doing that at Cracker Barrel's without really, oh, my arm is hurting, sorry. I think that I'd rather have to deal with that and get that one video out at least and be able to update everybody on social media. I think that's what I'm going to do. Either way, you will see a little bit more in this video in just 1 second. It'll either be me leaving the park with an outro, or it will be me hiking over yonder to see the attraction in the park. What will happen? The suspense is killing me.
In 1976, they rebuilt number 1, and they ran it for about 2 months with a lot of modern help going with it. Okay, but they made iron here. That iron was used to make the cannon barrels you see here in the park and another park here. That iron was actually used. The iron master would determine the load on the furnace. Okay, you give instructions up here, and they would load carts up with iron ore, limestone, charcoal, and they'd go across the trestle and would open that door up. Now, it's very interesting when you remember it's a blast furnace. It operates under air pressure. Blast furnace. Okay, you inject air into the bottom. Okay, and the inside of the furnace is a venturi tube. Okay, which means that you can push air in at the bottom, say at 100 psi. Okay, chemical reaction, the heat and everything else. As it goes up in the furnace, the venturi tube takes over. You can have 1,000 pounds per square inch at the top of the furnace versus 100 at the bottom. So that's what keeps the solid stuff suspended in the furnace, is that air pressure. Now the real trick is, okay, when you want to tap the furnace or charge it, okay, you have to lower that pressure of the furnace. Okay, Iron Master, that's it, it's an art. You didn't have any instrumentations to tell him how to do this. But when they're going to charge the furnace, okay, they tap at the same time. And what they do is they lower the air pressure inside the furnace, not enough to let that burden, the solid stuff, slip. Okay, you don't want it to go to the bottom of the furnace, and you can safely open that door without getting burned alive. Okay, that's why there was no roof there in the first place. Probably wasn't a rail, OSHA wasn't around. They didn't worry about if somebody fell off the off the trestle. They would keep that solid stuff suspended in the furnace while you tap at the bottom and you charge up here at the top. And this has no bell mechanism. It's open top to bottom, and you can see that. And you go down below and look up, you can see it's open wide open from bottom. So what they would do, they fill mixture, iron ore, limestone, and charcoal to the top of the furnace. Hopefully the guys at the bottom are done tapping the iron out. They close the door, they turn the wind back up. Okay, from top to bottom, 16 to 18 hours on this furnace. When you charge, depends on when you're going to tap. They knock a hole in the furnace, and the molten iron, because it's not under a lot of pressure, if you tapped it with full wind, you better not be out down here, okay? Because it's going to squirt like a squeezed lemon, okay? And that's 1,800 to 2,000 degrees molten iron coming out of it, okay? But they're going to knock a hole in the furnace, and it comes down a runner. And if you go in a museum, they're great things, okay? And they got these little things off on the side, and the guy will stand down here like a paddle, and he'll direct this stuff off on the side. It runs down here into what these things are, pigs. Okay, been called pig iron for at least 2,000 years. Okay, I don't make it up. Okay, somebody way back when looked at that and said, looked like a sow pig laying on her side with her piglets attached, and the term pig iron stuck. That pipe up there is called a bustle pipe. That's where the air compressed air from the blower house over here. They had a water wheel blow bellows. It was a double bellows like this, Okay, I don't know how much pressure they got. 2 and 3 had a steam-powered compressor. Okay, so they were probably a little more efficient.
I'm headed out of the park. The need for Wi-Fi is great. So I need to get it soon. This is an incredible park. I will definitely be back in the spring to visit all the attractions that aren't open right now, like the train, and to visit all the craftsmen they have here. I just can imagine how awesome it is here during the spring. And the people were very friendly, especially the gentleman in the museum. And I can't remember his name now, but thank you for everything. He was so helpful and kind. And I'm coming to the main road, so with that, I will bid you adieu and to stay trippy. Oh, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. That helps me out on YouTube. And don't forget, subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, I will bid you adieu and to stay trippy. There's a gas station and I need one. That's great. Now my tire pressure light is coming on. This Pep Boys got me in and out with a nail in my tire and checking my tire and fixing it. And they did not even charge me anything. Can you believe that? They were so sweet and on top of it. I appreciate them so much. They didn't want to be in the video though. Neither one of them, the guys that helped me, they didn't want to be in the video. They did subscribe though.